Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to this week's chat on the mat. I'm not actually sat on a mat at the minute, but I have got a lovely hot drink here that I'm wrapping my hands around, keeping my hands warm. I've just finished teaching some one-to-one clients this morning, Pilates and on the reformer, and I have now come to chat to you today about excuses or results. And it's Arnold Schwarzenegger, I think, that said that you can have results or excuses, but not both. So, have you ever had a goal, a vision, a dream, something that you've really wanted to do, that you've wanted to achieve? And often when we have these big goals and big dreams, we often find ourselves making excuses for why we didn't quite get there, why we didn't accomplish what we set out to do. And when we don't achieve something or we don't perform quite as we expected that we would, it's easy to find excuses and reasons why. And some of those reasons may be completely valid, but some of those reasons may be excuses disguised as a reason. Okay. And it's sort of finding, really questioning yourself. Is it an excuse or is this a valid reason? Is it a valid reason or a reason disguised, or sorry, an excuse disguised as a reason? Well, let me give you an example. Several years ago now, well, actually longer than that, I loved, have you ever been to the Moscow State Circus? Ever been and watched something like that, or seen people do, at the time, I didn't know what it was called. Aerial silks is what I'm talking about, where you see the ladies often, mostly, but sometimes men, climbing up these silks and doing spins and drops and all sorts of things on the silks. And you go and watch the circus, the Moscow State Circus or acrobatics or whatever, and you'd see them. And I would always say, I'd love to be able to do that. I'd love to be able to do that. And with my background in gymnastics and dancing, I felt it was something that I could do, as achievable. But I then started making excuses. So I had a dream, a vision that I'd love to be able to do the aerial silks and just experience it and have a go at it. But I made the excuse that, well, there won't be any classes around. There won't be any classes to do anything. I won't be able to find a class, especially not in Derbyshire. Maybe if I was in London, but then that's too far to travel. There might be things in London, but there wouldn't be anything near me. I'd never be able to find a class. And where would you start? Who would teach? It's not the sort of thing they do classes on, is it? Anyway, that was my reason for not doing it. And actually, it was an excuse disguised as a reason, because I hadn't actually looked. I hadn't actually taken action. I had just decided that there wouldn't be any classes near me to teach aerial silks. It just wasn't something that was available. And I hadn't even looked. But when I did take action, and when I did actually look up, this was then several years, where it kept coming back to me, kept coming every time we see it or mention, or you'd see a picture or, something on telly or anything. I'd see these people doing these silks. I think, I'd love to do that. And then I got to the point where I was like, come on, Gila, you keep saying you'd love to do it and you're not doing it. So I took action. And would you have it that actually when I looked, there was a studio that was 15 minutes drive from where I am that taught aerial silks. Who would have thought? And I inquired and I said, hey, I'd love to learn aerial silks. They said, great. You need to do a 6-week beginner course, and the classes are I can't remember when they were, but say every Monday at 6 o'clock. That was the problem, because my husband worked and I had children to look after and pick up from school and things. I couldn't make 6 o'clock on a Monday evening. It was tea time and bedtime and things like that. Now, let's just pause there, because was that a reason why I couldn't do it? Or was I just making another excuse, disguising it as a reason? Well, I believe it was an excuse, because I then took action again and went back to the lady and said, look, I know this is a 6-week beginner course, but is there any other way I can do this? Because I really, really want to do this. I have got some experience in gymnastics and stuff. Okay, it was a long time ago, but and I really, really want to. Is there any other way I can do it? I said, well, you could perhaps, do some intense one-to-one sessions, and we'll see how you get on. And I'm not sure how many you'd need, but you could do some of those, and then when you're ready, you'd then be able to move on into the mixed ability class. Brilliant. Yes, I'll do that. So it cost more money. It was at a different time. It was an hour, 1-to-1. Whoa, on the aerial silks. And if you've ever done anything like that or done 1-to-1 sessions, they're always more intense. Anyway, I did 2 1-to-1 sessions, and they said, yeah, you've got this. You've got this. You can join the classes. And I then joined the class. The mixed ability class that I knew I could make was a time I could make. And I then got results. And if you've seen any of the pictures I've posted up from my photo shoot a few years ago, you can see that I then achieved it. I got the results. But that's because I'd stopped making excuses. I'd taken actions. Whereas before, when I was making excuses, I couldn't find a class, I couldn't get to the class, whatever it was, I wasn't getting the results. So Arnold Schwarzenegger's right in that you can't have both. It's either excuses or results. Another example, I'm just going to take a sip of my drink before it goes cold. Another example is when I competed gymnastics, and I did sports acrobatics, and we'd drop you'd in the competition and you'd drop a balance. And you could come off and you could either go, oh, well, yeah, I dropped the balance because I was too hot and sweaty. I didn't have enough chalk on my hands, or, my partner wobbled, or something in the audience threw me or distracted me, or they're all excuses. We might think of them as reasons why we dropped the balance, but they were actually excuses. Because if we actually it didn't change the outcome that we dropped the balance in the routine. So what actually was going to help us? Not looking at what the excuses were, but actually looking at, okay, well, how can we then move forward and make this more consistent so we can do the balance in future? Do we need to practice it more? Do we need to have a different way of getting into the balance or out of the balance? Do we need to just think about our mindset when we're competing under pressure? Because you always seem to drop the balance when it was in a competition, never in practice. So those sorts of things, and then say, well, look, we can do it. Let's find a way around it, and then let's get the results, not focus on the excuses, because you can't have both. So I'm just going to throw a few things at you, and I want you to have a think whether you think these are reasons not to exercise or excuses. So these are all things that people have said to me in the past, or I hear people say about exercising. Okay, so I haven't got enough time to exercise. Reason or excuse? What do you think? I'm not expecting an answer right now. Have a think. These are like rhetorical questions, but if you want to comment below, please do, because I'd love to open up the discussion and see what people think. It's too cold and dark to go out to a class. Is that a reason, a valid reason, or an excuse not to exercise? I've just got no energy. I'm too tired. By the end of the day, I'm just too tired. Reason or excuse? Haven't got childcare. Can't get childcare, so I can't do anything. Is that a reason or an excuse? I don't know what to do. I don't know where to start. I just need someone to tell me. Okay, so is that a valid reason not to exercise? Or is it just an excuse keeping you from doing it? There are just a few things that come off the top of my head. Have a think. What do you say? Are you making excuses and not getting your results? Or are they actually valid reasons? If there is a way around it, a solution, a different approach, then they're likely to be excuses. If other people are finding that they can, they can do it, they've got time, energy, so on, then maybe they're an excuse. Everyone's situation is different, and I'm not, you know, it depends on your situation. But it's just something to think about, isn't it? I think this is quite an interesting topic, and it's something I'm going to delve into far deeper in our in my Be Stronger Than Your Excuses solution that starts in a couple of weeks' time on the 6th of February. I'll pop the link below if you want to have a look and join. It's a free experience, and there's going to be some Pilates, and there's also going to be some activities to really delve deeper into what your excuses are. Are they excuses? Are they reasons? Are they valid? And how are they stopping you from exercising? Okay. I had a wonderful conversation with one of my lovely clients this morning about keeping consistent with their exercise. And we were talking about our identity and expectations in society to be busy and to feel like, you know, you can cope with it all, but you've got to be seen to be busy and be juggling things and all over the place, and lots and lots of things I could talk about, but lots of it overlaps with what I'm going to be talking about in this Be Stronger Than Your Excuses solution. So really, I'd love you to join me on that. If this is a topic that you're interested in digging a bit deeper and unpicking within yourself, then you're going to love the Be Stronger Than Your Excuses challenge. So please join me for that. So I'm going to leave you with this question for today for you to ponder on. Which do you want? Do you want to make excuses, or do you want to get results? Let me know. Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. Do you want excuses, or do you want to get results? Because you can't have both. Take care, everyone. I will see you next week for our chat on the mat session. I'll put the link below for the Be Stronger Than Your Excuses. Please come and join me for that, and have a lovely rest of your day. Take care. See you soon.